and the first thing they heard was, "All right, guys, I'm gonna go take a dump."
I'm not gonna take. I don't have time to take a dump. I'm gonna go pee.
All right, Danny's going to use the restroom. We're doing our pre-show right now. Go ahead,
also,
Danny.
maybe the people can help you. It's Way Back Wednesday. We need a decade and start picking some songs.
Pick a decade, George.
70s.
70s. All right. Anybody who is watching right now, submit a song from the 70s.
How do they do it, on Facebook?
Yeah.
Just comment?
Just comment.
All right, and while you're there, likes, hearts, and shares. We love them. They help the show. So if you can do it, that'd be awesome. So many of you responded. We got like 10 reviews on iTunes, 5 stars. It was great to see, and it helps those algorithms, man. That's how Facebook and iTunes and a lot of social media works nowadays, is algorithms. What you pull as far as downloads, views, comments, like buzz around whatever it is you're trying to do, and they, you get in front of more eyeballs is what it boils down to. Jackie Joyner-Kersee, her big deal was the Seoul Olympics. She won the heptathlon, the long jump. 1982, she won the heptathlon in Barcelona, and
that's where I thought
she's got a silver in L.A. So from 84 to 92, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. They had a list of popular JJs. So people that had their initials of the first name and last name. I know she's JJK, but Jackie Joyner, good enough. She got married to Bob Kersee, I think was his name. Jimmy Johnson, the race car driver, and the coach was up there. Julio Jones and Jaromir Jagr.
There was 5 of them.
So we were just wondering, when was it that she did? And I guess her best run was the 2 gold medals in Seoul. Now, she did have an Olympics where in Rome, she won 2. World Championships. And those are considered pretty big as well. I know a lot of you are going to want to talk about ex-champ George St. Pierre and UFC reportedly agreed for 2 terms for return. That could be huge, and it could be impactful in many ways. One, there's 2 people going like this if you're watching the cameras. Excellent. Michael Bisping, Tyron Woodley.
Okay.
Now, Woodley is saying, excellent. Except someone's tapping him on the shoulder and going, you got to fight, bro. Let's get back to work.
You got a monster in front of you.
Right, and you do. You have a guy that you drew back in November, so let's get back to work and worry about GSP then. Bisping, however, hasn't signed anything. Last week, apparently, there was talk that on May 11th, May 13th, one of those, UFC 211 in Dallas was going to feature Michael Bisping and Yoel Romero, and then, of course, you've all heard by now that Romero called in the Bisping show, the countdown, on SiriusXM Rush 93, Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific. And so he called in, and it wasn't even a back and forth. It was just yelling on Romero's end and begging on Bisping's end. I heard the sound clouds and all that. So anyway, it did cause a stir and a buzz. But I guess part of GSP's return was him wanting to fight Bisping, and it would be for a world title. Now,
because it's what made sense at the time.
Right. Now, here's some things that I'm just going to go randomly. I know that when a GSP fight wasn't made for Toronto last year, around that time, questions were being asked. And I think Dana was pretty clear that when you hear Bisping say, I put in time, I think I deserve, a bone thrown my way, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of people would agree, man. I think, he really has a lot of fights under his belt, a lot of wins under his belt. He's been a company guy through The Ultimate Fighter, and he's kind of like spearheaded a region of the world. So you have to respect that. He also stepped in on late notice to fight Luke Rockhold, won the title. But I think that was already fulfilled, that nugget, that bone, when he got to fight in Manchester against a non-top 10 guy in Dan Henderson. Because, A, they did have a long-standing, not rivalry, because it was only one fight, but there was just something there that
fighter, all that.
Yeah. That was so long ago that I guess it wasn't like brewing. I mean, we wanted them to run it back if it ever made sense, but because it was a definitive finish, it didn't make sense until Bisping had something that Hendo wanted. So they fought. It ended at 1-1. But I believe that was the bone thrown his way. Now, as I say that, I'm a realist. I know that WME, IMG loves big fights, loves fun fights. So they may say, even though we threw him a bone then, let's throw him another bone. Why? Because they have to make these payments on the loans that were taken out to acquire the UFC, and to do that, they need to sell tickets to fights, sell pay-per-views to fights, and GSP versus Bisping for a title would be a lot bigger than Bisping versus Romero. So yeah, the purity of the title run and the number one contendership, that I think gets put by the wayside at times. This may be one of them.
This has WME written all over it. If you look at the roster, what did they lose? Brock Lesnar, big star.
Retired yesterday, yeah.
Ronda Rousey. She don't sound like she's coming back anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were going to have Cyborg. That hasn't gone their way.
McGregor's trying to get a boxing license. Anderson Silva, more people were kind of booing than they were excited about him fighting. Penn got destroyed.
What do you need to do? You need to replace them with stars.
Van Zandt lost them 2 months ago.
Whatever that negotiation was, I can almost promise you GSP probably won that negotiation.
Yeah.
He's probably getting what he wants, and it's because they need stars.
So the only other thing I can think of is if they said, look, we're also conceding some terms, but we'll present you at the Woodley-Thompson matchup. You're sticking at welterweight. Sorry, pal. Mm-hmm. They could and say, we got Romero versus Bisping. We already
up in a minute.
We already put the middleweight rankings or the middleweight contenders through the ringer there. We can't do it again. Who knows? But I would tend to think that if GSP wanted Bisping, he'll get Bisping, and Bisping will get that big payday. But the one thing that Legacy's going to need is a quality title defense, and that'll come from either Mousasi, Jacare, or Romero. So I think when you sleep in your bed and there's millions around you, you can get over it. But you never know, man. I think that'll haunt Floyd. When Floyd looks and sees 49-0, why am I never at the top? It'll be because you didn't fight a lot of key guys in your division at their prime.
Coming up at 10. Sorry to interrupt you. Coming up at 10.
No problem.
All right.
Can you believe this guy interrupted you?
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McGarren Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
All right, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and
from the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, it's Devious and Dastardly Goes, our East co-host, and back east, handling all the producing duties, it's Danny. What's up, guys?
What up? You excited?
I am.
What are you excited about?
This show.
Okay.
I'm pumped up. I have some shout-outs, and I'm watching the Facebook chat a little bit closer today. We had a little bit of a longer pre-show today. We went about 10 minutes deep, and we were talking about the front page story there that shows GSP's, I think, headed to a return.
Getting closer, right?
Yeah.
It's funny how yesterday the big news was once again the stirring of the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, and just like that, boom! Now everybody's focused on GSP. We mentioned it on the pre-show. It's a move that probably had to have been made because of all the stars that they've been losing.
Mm-hmm.
There's fighters and there's stars. Stars sell pay-per-views. Those are your Brock Lesnar's, your Ronda Rousey's, your Conor McGregor's. Conor's playing hardball. You just lost 2 there. You got to replace him with something. GSP's a star. But the question is he going to be durable? Because we saw towards the end, I mean, that probably wasn't his best performance against Johnny. Mm-hmm. And you've seen the troubles he's had. Yeah, the troubles he's had with his knee. So I don't know. I don't know how much money they invested in this.
But when he comes back, he's a savage, man.
He will sell pay-per-views. He will.
Yeah, he does some ass kicking, that's for sure. All right, well, so a few things we want to talk about. Let me tell you the guests on today's show. Scott Coker will join us at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and Alan Jouban will join us in the second hour as well. Closer to, I guess, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. First hour is completely wide open for you to call in, 866-522-2846. Been getting a lot of new callers. I'm digging that. The veterans, they're stepping up and coming right back into the rotation, so I'm digging that as well. Again, 866-522-2846. We have 2 already on hold, and these guys are kind of becoming like a 1-2 punch, like a leadoff hitter, and then the lefty that comes in and tries to hit it to right field and advance the guy that hit the single all the way to third. Mm-hmm. So I'm liking that. Mike in Jersey and Brandon from Louisville, but we do need those power hitters, number 3, number 4, number 5, to bring these guys in. So 866-522-2846. You look like you're chomping at the bit to say something.
Well, you brought up some names that I wanted to thank. We got a lot of iTunes reviews.
Right.
And a lot of rating. We noticed our SoundCloud account as well.
Right.
A lot of new people joining on there. So thank you very much for doing that.
Your
it really
follows,
does mean
shares
a lot to us.
Are awesome. They help the algorithm. And, of course, we just dig the fact that you did that for us. We'll read them. The iTunes comments we'll always read, and I have to catch up on about 10 of them. But it really does help the algorithm. It helps the show. And I've always said, if our audience is 10 people and all of you just talk to Buddy into listening, we now have 20. We double our show just like that. So
all that
anytime
stuff
you do
comes around.
We appreciate it.
It comes around junkie gathering time. It comes around when you come out here and visit. We try and hook you guys up as well, and be nice to you guys. So it really helps us out a lot. Do it.
Now, I'm going to go to the Facebook chat right quick, because what we were saying during the pre-show was talking about GSP, and somebody brought up a good point. There was a few of them, but they scrolled so fast that I didn't get their names, unless I go into another window here. But they brought up, what if it's GSP and Nick Diaz? Because Nick Diaz kind of has been declining fights. He's looking for that big fight, and that is, it doesn't upset the middleweight scheme, because we were saying GSP and Bisping, that could happen. But there's also talk of Bisping and Romero already being set. So why have GSP disturb that? Woodley would want to defend against GSP, but of course he's got Thompson ahead of him, and that is GSP's division. But they could say, hey, GSP, warm up, sell 500, 700,000 pay-per-views by fighting Nick Diaz. Let's get Nick Diaz back in the game.
I like it.
From the business standpoint, the WME side, I could see them rubbing their hands together and digging that. Me, fuck, man, I like it when GSP's involved in the title fight, because I feel like he is the linear, the incumbent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He left the champ, so come back into a title fight. Now, if he says, hey, look, I packed on a few these last few years, I got to go to 85, I get it. As you get older, you know, you just don't want to do those cuts. You don't want to put your body through that. Or maybe he wants to chase history. Maybe he's motivated by McGregor or what Nunes wants or what every other champion seems to want, and that's to do it in different weight classes. Really, really cement that legacy. I don't know. But he kind of already kicked Diaz's ass. I guess it would make me happy in that it pulls Diaz in, but I think he's probably gonna beat him again. And so then does Diaz go away for another 18 months? Like, I like Diaz in the matchups that got him to be that superstar that he was, and I'm sorry to say this, he kind of avoided grapplers. You know, I mean, the Strikeforce was smart, and they put him up mostly against stand-up guys, and he won fights. You know, he got on a roll, and he got all the way to a title fight.
Well, like you said, you got to take off your MMA Junkie Radio hat and put on your WME hat, right? and you want to think, all right, well, I paid all this money to get this dude to come out. The last thing I want to see is him go in and just get demolished.
Who? GSP.
GSP.
Yeah.
Right? You think of Tyron Woodley, you think of Wonder Boy. They have the potential to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yeah, give him somebody, have him beat that person. People go, oh my God, he's back. And you can build up either a big title fight, or if you can somehow do it and they can pull whatever rabbit out of the hat they want, if you can match him up somehow with Conor McGregor, then you make a huge payday.
He's layers away from McGregor, though, because if I believe
nobody's ever layers away from McGregor.
Well, if I believe
as long
what's
as
happening
it
in
translates to
boxing,
money, it's there.
But then he's gonna have to relinquish that 55 belt, because Ferguson and Khabib are doing something that they didn't really want to do. They both felt like, I'm next. Why am I doing this? All right, we're fighting
It's
each other.
going to take time for GSP to train, to fight, whoever it is, Nick Diaz, whoever you give him. So there's going to be some time that's going to be nicked off here.
The one thing I do like about GSP Diaz is if Diaz beats GSP, it's 1-1. He can say, I beat that grappler everyone's been criticizing me about, and now that's that win that everybody said, just get us a win. I'm Nick Diaz. Now he's in a title shot. If GSP wins, we'll all still want to see both Diaz and GSP, even if they lose. But I think GSP kind of suffers a lot, because when we talk about the GOATs, they all bring a good case, to the debate. I felt like a lot of people are leaning towards GSP as the greatest ever because John, all these troubles he's had, not that it affected his in-octagon performance, but there wasn't domination towards the end. He was actually losing rounds, where GSP, other than Hendricks, I think almost won every round, avenged every loss. He won a trilogy versus Hughes. He didn't really need to win a trilogy against Serra, but I mean, he just seemed to have it all and exit the way he exited. Now Mighty Mouse is in the talk. Some people still say it's Anderson Silva. Who knows? But that could be something else if GSP could come back, fight Bisping, and win, and have those two titles type legacy. So I don't know if GSP's even going to come back and stay, or just come back and sting, and that's it. It's like he went to someone's party that he wasn't invited, and he left with that guy's girl. Went, had sex with her, and then told his buddies, and his buddies go, hey, so you can go back and get her older sister too. It's like he could go back to the party, grab the other girl, in this case Bisping's title, and then say, now I retire. Because does he really want to? I don't know. It looks like GSP's like the sport consumes him and wipes him out, and he doesn't fight very often. So I think if he's going to come back, it might just be like one big fight, strike, get out. So are you going to do that against Diaz with no title at stake, or are you going to do it and grab a belt? He says he has money, so does he really need all these pay-per-views? I don't know, man. It's all these questions we don't know about. Guess somebody would say, George, why don't you interview them? We'll try. We'll try to get both of them on. I don't know. But I'm fascinated by.
He was very open when we had him in studio. He was chilling. He had his feet up on the table.
It's fascinating what he brings, in regards to where he can be placed. I think we covered the three major ones. The winner of Woodley Thompson, Nick Diaz, Michael Bisping. I guess the only other one would be Anderson.
Nah. Nah, I don't think they do.
No? I mean, that sells, though, right?
I don't even know if it does anymore.
You going to tell me it doesn't sell pay-per-views?
Not as many as you think. That is what it would have done.
Well, it's not 1 million, but I don't know. All right. So we'd love to hear from you, 866-522-2846. Just quick thoughts on Brock Lesnar, I guess, kind of making it official. He can always come back. He did it once, but it sounds like he's done with MMA.
Yeah. Nowadays, when you get these retirement notices or whatever, they almost don't mean anything.
You think he's going to pay off that $250 he owes to the commission and just leave that in good standing? Or
I doubt it.
Yeah, because he was eligible to come back, I think, in December of next year, and scoop up another $2-3 million, whatever his fee is for fighting.
It's sad, man, because he seemed rejuvenated.
So that $250 could be paid. He did pass. I thought I used to say 8 tests. Maybe it was 6 tests is what I found out, but he did pass them. I don't know what happened on fight night, but you're right, Goes. It looked like he wanted to stay.
Yeah.
If that hadn't happened, I think we would have seen Brock Lesnar fight by the end of 2016 or early 2017. Some pop came with that at UFC 200. Few things from over the weekend. Shout out to Dan Tom. we've seen this kid grow up through Tough Enough, friend of ours, hang out with him, and he's come on the show and done the breakdowns, and I believe he went 5-0.
Did he?
So now he's got that gig with Flow Combat, but at the MMA Analyst, the A is shared on MMA and Analyst. I think it's at the MM Analyst if you want to look at it that way. Yeah, he went 5-0. I love reading his breakdowns, and I don't always go with what he says, but I definitely take in his info, and then whatever I come up with, and everybody else that calls in or goes, or everybody else that's in my circle. Sometimes I pick Joey Odessa's brain as well, and I'm really comfortable with like the people I have around me as far as like if you just want a winner, yeah, you just got to decide whether you want to lay 400 to win 100 on some of them. Also, another guy, I'm going to keep his name chill for now, but there's a guy in the UK that's really good at picking fights, too. And he doesn't even, I don't even think he cares about being famous or anything like that. He just says, here are the picks, and he does really, really well.
There's a guy in Vegas that's really good at picking fights, too.
You went 5-0?
That's right.
Jermaine, Silva, Souza, Teixeira, and Poirier. Scroll up a little bit. Is there anybody else that did that?
I think there was somebody else.
We'll go that way, yeah. Jermaine, Silva, Souza, Teixeira, Poirier. My buddies always ask me, who do you like this weekend? You never give us your picks. I tell them, if you really want to know, just go on Junkie. We fucking give them all the main card. We've been doing it for the last 3 years.
Friends are the laziest people
They're
on the
there
planet.
if you want them, all right? But they always ask me, well, did you bet them? And I say, no, because those are heavy favorites. So it's the equivalent of, I hate to do this, but I'm going to just do it. Nah, you know what? I'll throw my own team under the bus. It's the equivalent of the 49ers at New England. New England's going to be like minus 14, minus 17. They don't lose at home very often, and the Niners aren't that good. So if you say, okay, but I don't want to give up 14, 17, what's the money line? The money line is going to be like minus 400, minus 500. So that's kind of what some of these are. Except in MMA, they tend to fall a little bit more often than the New England's losing to San Francisco. But that's almost the equivalent of what it is. So on the one hand, if you want to know who I think is going to win, that's kind of my answer. But then it doesn't mean I'm going to bet it either, because you're laying a lot to win a little, and that's why I like to look for underdogs. So there's some fights that are close. Plus, all these guys and gals are wearing 4-ounce gloves. These are the intangibles. They wear 4-ounce gloves. All they got to do is connect. All one of these has to do is maybe somebody cheated on them and they had a terrible camp. Maybe they broke away from their camp, or their coach turned their back on them, or they lost their house. I'm telling you, they can mentally collapse, and it's just the one time that they lost in 9 times, the day you happen to bet on them. Maybe it's a bad decision. Maybe it's a ref that doesn't interject and allow someone to get socked up. It's so many things that it's tough to go in there and say, yeah, give me all of these, because if just one of them loses, I think you're looking at a loser night. That one was a close fight. I think you would have lost 200 on him, and if you win 100 on these 4, I guess you still make 200. But any of the other ones were up there, and if you lost, I think Poirier was closer to 500. Actually, that one was close, Jermaine. So you couldn't really call her much of a favorite. But any of the other ones, man, if you lost, if you lost Souza, you would have lost about $500, $600, $700. And if you made 100 on these 4, you still would have lost, even though you went 4-1.
Teixeira wasn't as much as people probably would have imagined.
And look at the fight he had. He even criticized himself. Oh, yeah, I need to start going for finishes, this, that, whatever. So this is who we think is going to win. It's always there. Our records going in weren't that great. They look a little bit better now. I think everyone was off to a rough start, even the readers. But as far as, like, who to play, I think, like I say, I prefer going, here's my 20, how do I turn it into 500? Like the apostles. We got to feed 5,000 people here. We only have 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. How do we do that? I want to perform that miracle. I don't want to go, ATM fee here at the casino, $5. Get out 500, walk up, sweat it, hope they had a good camp, hope I don't get screwed by judges, hope the referee didn't mess things up, just so I can win 100. That's no fun to me.
I agree.
All right, but these guys are really good at it, and I want to give them shout-outs. Rob Hines also was saying that, respected commission official as judge and referee, that Todd Anderson, who's getting a lot of heat, he says is a quality referee. He just may have had a bad night. and maybe some poor decision making as far as running interference and stopping rounds when they should have. But he came to his defense, and said this guy is a good referee. I think he's hoping that it doesn't start to become one of those where, when the fans just hate someone, they can tear them apart, and all of a sudden those careers can end.
Yeah.
The NYSAC was saying the UFC knew who the refs were before the fight, so don't come too hard on us because we tell you who's reffing, we tell you who's judging. So if you kind of had a problem then, and I think that's going towards Dana White, who was very critical of.
But does he have the power to change any of that? I mean, isn't it that's the commission's call, right? I know the fighters have the ability to change it up to one time.
Right, and I guess they shouldn't expect for him to do interviews that say, we got the list. Boy, I'm sweating that main event. This guy's inexperienced, this, that, whatever. So it was just interesting articles that I read. And honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. But I found these articles on MMA Fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it only because I followed the link. Like, I get this email that says, these are Twitter follows. And so sometimes I'll just click it if they have a good story. And I went there, and one just led to the other, and they were interesting. But I do want to give a shout-out to one guy. I think we have fabulous writers on our site, USA Today. Editors, writers, videographers, everything. I love them to death. Wouldn't trade them for anyone in the world. But there is one guy from a distance, two now. No, many. But, like, one guy that's become one of my favorites is Akamoto, obviously. I think he's solid, ESPN.com. But another guy that, from a distance, and I've never met him, I think I once gave him a head nod, is a guy named Mark Raimondi for MMA Fighting. Fuck, that guy, like, churns out a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he's I don't know if it's, like, if he can peek at my brain, it's like whatever I'm wondering, he's reporting on it.
He's a stud.
He's pretty legit. I have to give him credit, man. We're pretty secure over here. We got a bunch of these, So we're pretty secure. It's not like I fear talking about other sites or giving credit to other strong players in the game. But that's just a guy that I don't know that if he gets a lot of love, I feel he does great work. Someone may tap me on the shoulder and go, but he's an asshole. I don't know because I've never met him. Or he might be the coolest guy ever. But, damn, man, whenever I'm wondering something, he's tweeting about it or he's just on that same wavelength.
Man crush?
Oh, no, not a man crush. But I'll give you an example. If we hear Lesnar retired, and what was the thing I said to you? I go, gee, I wonder if he's going to score up that $250,000 within an hour. There'll be a tweet that says, spoke with commission and Lesnar is not interested in paying, or whatever.
That's Kevin Iole for me.
Kevin Iole?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whenever
okay.
I'm wondering something, he's kind of right there.
Yeah.
But that's not just MMA. That's kind of sports in general.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to PEDs, all that USADA stuff, controversy, Morocco. Steve Morocco.
I was going to say, when you don't understand something, he's very good at making you understand it.
Yeah. And then when there's social dilemmas, I like Ben's attack on and his take on things,
Mm-hmm.
So this is just like a shout-out because it had to do with these two articles, but that Raimondi guy's good, man. I think he's an LA guy, too. Joe Rogan, lastly. Joe Rogan said, I shouldn't have said that Ronda Rousey could beat some UFC 135ers. I commend him for that. A lot of people, when they say something, they stick to it, and they just hope no one remembers it. Like, trust me, if McGregor and Mayweather happens, you don't know how many people are going to be tweeting, hey, Dana, are you going to back up Tom Brady anytime soon? Because that's what Dana said was the chances of that happening are the same as me being the backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. But Joe, I think, realizes, I probably went a little bit far. He says, I love to exaggerate, so he gave an explanation. But I thought that was not big of him, but I just thought that was commendable that he did that.
Because a lot of people don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It used to be where a lot of people did it, and now in this day and age, not very many people do it.
Yeah, I never thought that, and I also never thought she could beat Floyd Mayweather. But I stopped talking about a man versus woman fighting. You did?
Yeah, I always felt like if she can just close that distance, then he's in a world of hurt.
Right.
But
I would say
you put a gun to my head,
right.
Obviously
Floyd. And then I think Holly kind of showed what footwork can do. And if you have trouble closing the distance, this is what I can do. Floyd can't throw a head kick like Holly did, but he can throw some hands. All right, let's start off with let's do a couple before the break. We'll go to, I think we're gonna reverse it. I think Mike's gonna bat lead off, and then Brandon's gonna bat second. Mike from Jersey, what's up?
Not too much. What's going on, guys?
Not much.
All right. I was doing my my weekly check of the rankings yesterday, and usually I'm really excited to check out 55 and 70 because I feel like those two divisions are just stacked. But I was looking through yesterday, and I noticed 45. Man, 45 has got such a great mix of veterans and young up and comers. I want to throw 4 young guys out there, and I want to ask you guys, who do you think would get the first title shot somewhere in the future out of these 4 guys? And if you guys, could find some fun matchups between these 4, what ones you would want to see? Bektik, Yair Rodriguez, Duho Choi, and T-City, or Brian Ortega.
I said at the beginning of the year we did this thing where we predicted the future, right? And I said I believe Mirsad Bektik's going to be a future champion. I think that guy's a monster. Ortega, I think, is a great fighter. I think he's still shoring up a few things here or there. Choi, we'll see how he bounces back. Yair just keeps getting better with every fight. I mean, he's getting scary out there. Mm-hmm. But my pick would be Bektik out of that bunch to come out and really make a statement.
I think Bektik has the best chance to survive the route to the title, which is going through the Lamases, Mendez when he comes back, Holloway's, Edgar's, whoever. You're going to have to fight 2 of them along the way at least. But he's undefeated, good-looking kid, and I think he's a beast. I'm not saying he's going to win the title, but I think he probably has the best chance. However, I think Yair and Choi would have had the easier route. Remember me at Disneyland when they lifted up the velvet rope and just allowed me to weasel my way in because I knew somebody, right? Well, I think that's what Yair and Choi have, is they know someone, and what they have is this passport that says South Korea, lots of fans. People will buy tickets. You can invade South Korea and become huge there, UFC. And Yair's holding the Mexico passport. Mexico, you want all those fans? Feature me in big bouts. So I think they're going to have a quicker line. They're going to have a quicker line to get to that possible title shot. That's a little bit of what assisted Conor McGregor as well. So popular, and an island that backed them. It was amazing. So I think they could have the easier route as long as they keep handling their business. And to give you your one final answer, I think Yair would probably have the easier way to the world title. I don't know that he'll win it because fucking Holloway is a beast. Whenever Aldo's done, if it's on June 3rd and he passes the mantle of Holloway, I feel like Holloway can hold on to it for a while. And if he doesn't, then I guess Aldo just stays there for a while longer.
Yeah, what's scary about Holloway is the fact that he's so far ahead of these guys, talent-wise, in my opinion, and he's about the same age as them.
Faux show. Mike from Jersey, you the man. Way to start things off. Let's go to Brandon in Louisville. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, boys. How y'all doing today?
Good, dog.
Doing good. So the MMA world is rejoicing the return of GSP. However, there are 5 guys who just turned on their computers, logged into MMAjunkie, and went, oh, fuck. Want to guess who those 5 guys are?
Well, are we just going to go 1 through 5 here in the welterweight?
You know what? I'll just save you the time. Those 5 guys are Jacare, Romero, Maya,
Musasi,
and Tony Ferguson. No. It's the guys that are either right on the edge of a title fight or on the edge of a Conor fight and just went, shit, those are my guys, and my guys are about to hunt GSP down.
I hear you. Yeah, all of them would love to fight GSP because it would be a huge fight. So Bisping, if he had Woodley and GSP in front of him, he'd take GSP. Woodley, if he had Bisping, Conor. Oh no, I think Woodley would fight Conor over GSP.
Do you know what would happen?
And Conor would probably take GSP over Woodley and Bisping. So yeah, I hear where he's headed with this.
If Bisping could have GSP and Anderson Silva on his resume, what the hell do you do then?
That'd be very impressive. Who do you think will get it? What do you think GSP will be matched up first with?
His return?
Yeah.
I think I'm with you. I think Anderson Silva is going to be his return fight.
Anderson?
Okay. I think it's the one they've wanted. I think it's still a money fight, and they got to get it before either one of them lose. I think that's the one they go with. Because what was that?
Oh, it was just dramatic music.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I think it's the one they go with right out the bat. Nick would also make sense. I don't think they're going to give it to Bisping. I don't think Woodley's already set up with Thompson, and Connor's still trying to do the Floyd thing. So I'd say it's either Nick or Anderson, and I'm going to go with Anderson.
Right on, dog. Good stuff, man. Appreciate the call. Yeah, that's the reaction from those people. God damn it! Now what? Like, oh man, what's this guy gonna do? You know, Bisp or Romero and Jacare, and there's probably a lot of disappointment from people that have put in some time and won some key fights. That just this stuff happens. They
You're
get
on
railroaded.
the cusp of all that money.
I know. All right, you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Don't worry, when we come back, we'll get to your call. So get in the queue at 866-522-2846. Our first guest is at the top of the second hour. It's Scott Coker, president of Bellator. We'll talk about Bellator 172 with Mitrione and Fedor at the top of the bill. That's happening on Saturday. And then that'll be followed by Alan Jouban, quality UFC welterweight, who just signed on to fight Gunnar Nelson. So remember, we still got 30 minutes to go to take your calls. Write this down. Save it. 866-522-2846. I'm looking, and there's 2 lines open on the bank right now, so do it. Call in.
Go ahead.
All right, it's commercial time right now, junkies, but I'm going to jump in here and see if I can catch up on some comments from the very beginning. Just so you know, we're acknowledging we're watching. Benjamin Todd Webster. Have a good show, guys. I'm going snowboarding. Won't be able to listen. Catch you on Friday. Well, in that drive to go to the mountain, up and back, you can listen to us, right? Download the show on iTunes or Stitcher. You don't have to wait till Friday. Paul Phillimore says Ben Farrelly on Addicted OTR is a great writer here in the UK. What's OTR? Off the
other
rope? Wait. Isn't there an OTR here on ESPN?
No.
Off the cut? Off.
I think you're thinking of
Around the Horn?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that suggestion, Paul. Let me write that down.
Speaking of suggestions, you got a song from the 70s. Put it in the chat. Danny, I was going to call him Tommy. Danny will take that and play it.
I've only been gone for one day. You forgot my name?
Take it easy, Danny.
Ben Farrelly.
Remembered it then.
All right. Michael Brian Cutting says, ready to sign. I'll put pen to paper. Scott Coker, please give me a chance. Pretty boy. Where is he at? All I want is his head. So I guess he might be a fighter.
Why has everybody got 3 names today?
I don't know.
I'm going to hit the bump. I'll be right back.
Matthew Griffin saying, what's up, people? Kevin Wood says, love the show. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you listening. Matthew Griffin, can I get a shout out?
In your car, in your home, and everywhere that you go. This is Sirius XM Rush 93. Listen anytime on the Sirius XM app. Explosive takedowns, jaw-dropping KOs, and electrifying submissions. If it happens...
Hello to you. Brian Bixby, sup guys, what's up? He did the fist bump.
Clear for 2.5.
Chasm Anwar says GSP will revive Canadian MMA market. That's a good point. You're right. They need it, and I think he'll help. Benjamin Todd Webster. I thought he was going snowboarding. He's chatting again. Let Scott know that the Matt versus Fedor sweater promotion is gold. Yeah, you're right. Let me put that down.
That was funny.
Good stuff.
Would you buy it if you just came?
I think I would.
I would buy it too.
Yeah. Where does it exist though? You think it's a Russian brand, or you think it's?
I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he came to the States and said, "This looks cool."
Yeah. Larry Francois says Scott Coker should punch out Dana White and steal his thunder. At one point Scott Coker made a lot of money because Dana White bought a promotion he was invested in. So I don't see the point in that one. Manuel Deanda says, ask Jouban his game plan for Nelson. We kind of did. We touched on it at the end, and I'll just give you a preview. I mean, the interview will show up later on because it was a pre-record. We don't do them often. But I think basically he was saying, I want to fight where the percentages are high in my favor, which was a respectful way of saying, I know Gunnar Nelson can get down.
Plus, what's he going to do in 5 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could do it every day for 5 weeks. You're not going to get up to that level.
If he told Gunnar Nelson, strike with Jouban, who usually knocks people out when he wins, I think he'd go, well, let's try to grapple too. So I think they both recognize, but he said it in so many words. Sonny Prince, he says, so sick about hearing GSP for the last 3 years. Yeah, I hear you. I felt like it died down for a while, and then it came back late last year when the Toronto card was coming up. And then it went away, and now we're talking about it again. But you know what? We have to, man. He's a big figure in the sport, and that's just the way it is. Showtime from Tennessee, a.k.a. Ramunda Martin, says, guys, I'm loving the pre-show talk. So maybe we'll start turning on the cameras even earlier. Michael Mondanero says, I couldn't really call that getting redemption, though. Look at Bisping's face at the end of the fight. He's talking about Bisping getting redemption to losing. He still won the fight, though. He defended his belt, won the fight in front of his hometown, and got a chance to punch Dan Henderson. I think there's some redemption there.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goes. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Let's just jump back on the phone calls. These guys are on fire. They're delivering. And if you want to join in, it's 866-522-2846. There's one line open. We're going to get to it right now. The other 5 are started off by Marco and Waco. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, dude?
What's up?
Hey, so the news for GSP, man, in the middle of the hour. This is my little conspiracy theory on what's going to happen, but I'll take it for what it's worth. I think they're going to offer him Conor McGregor just to make the talks of Floyd Mayweather die down. Dana White is pretty conniving, and he likes to throw carrots up there for people to keep them talking. Plus, it makes sense for GSP because it's the biggest money fight up there. I mean, Nick Diaz, Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping, Darren Goodley, none of them compare to the major payday he will get with a Conor McGregor mega fight. And it will make Conor happy, it will make GSP happy, and it will stir the pot a little bit with a Floyd Mayweather talk. We're going to let you guys tomorrow.
Okay, we'll see it.
So instantly he comes into the fold. That's what they talk about here in Las Vegas.
So it's a fun fight because GSP can't make 55. He teased it before, but I don't think he makes 55. So it'll obviously be a catch weight or Conor goes up to 70.
I think it would be a 70 at that.
Okay. But if Conor seems more driven by money than leaving legacies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if they're close to making the Floyd fight, his focus would be there, not GSP.
Gun to the head, who wins that fight?
Who?
Conor and GSP.
In MMA, GSP?
Yeah.
That's just too much size, and it's a guy that doesn't care to stand and see what you got. I mean,
it's also
he
3
takes
years.
you down and fucking punishes you. 3 years, but then, who do we say? If there's one guy that can do it, it's the guy that's committed to the sport, lives it and breathes it, Dominic Cruz, and then your other names are just the great fighters, like the ones that can take 3 years off and come back and do it. GSP would be the other one. Shout out to Matthew Griffin, listening on Facebook. Listening and watching on Facebook. Next up, Vegas Ford. What's up, Ford?
Hey guys, so what I gathered from Marco from Waco is that Dana White likes to go hiking. Is that what we were figuring out there?
Why do you say that?
I don't know. That's what it sounded like he said. So anyways, I got a different take on the GSP thing. I'm not excited at all. I wish that he would stay away because, very simply put, he's the Floyd Mayweather of MMA. You get all excited about his fights, and then the fight comes, and he lays on somebody like a fucking Canadian wet blanket for 5 rounds, and you just end the fight unsatisfied. Am I wrong?
You're not. I've said it before, yeah. I have watched his fights and said same thing. I think it's because as a fan and a media member, I can stand back and appreciate when I look at all the skins on his wall and go, fuck, he was awesome. But as a consumer who paid $60, who told all his friends, you got to watch this, and then they're tuning out and looking at their phones. And then I'm also the guy that plays underdogs, and I'm going, why did I think GSP was going to lose? It's a frustrating 25 minutes. I will grant you that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And, hey, I got a question for Scott Coker. Would you guys relay it for me?
I think. I know how you roll, so I'll write it down. Let's see what we can do.
I would like to know his take on the fact that Bellator's ratings have not increased since he took over. They're pretty much right on par to where they were when, whatever the hell his name was, the dog killer, Bjorn. They're pretty much right on par there, if not just a little bit lower.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can figure out a way to ask that. Thank you. Thanks, Ward.
Nicely worded way. All right, brother.
All right,
have a good day.
No, not nicely worded. I'm not scared to ask him. I think I'm just going to ask him.
We're going off of what Ford from Vegas said. So
we stopped reporting on ratings a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So right now I don't have time to dig it up, but I think I do want to ask him, like, as far as that's concerned, where do you guys sit, and what do you shoot for? What are the marks that you'd like to get, pertaining to each card or individually or just as an average throughout the year. All right, next up, Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime?
Hold on, fellas.
What's up, man?
Man, Vegas Ford stole my thunder because I was about to say the same thing. I'm not too excited with GSP returning either. Cause I made that point a couple times on here to you guys that his fighting style is boring as hell. And I'm going to tell you this. He probably wouldn't want to fight a guy like Woodley that can fucking wrestle and that can lay him out, too. So that'll probably be a fight. He'll probably avoid that fight, taking that fight right now. But
well, I will tell you this. This is the one thing GSP does do, though. When he's fighting, you are watching an all-time great. So a lot of times people just like to see people lose, not because they hate them, because they want something new or they want the champion to get threatened. Remember when Condit landed that kick into the dome goes? I think it was like the third round. Or when Diaz stopped a couple takedowns, he started talking shit. I mean, there's something about, like, remember Gorilla Monsoon would say you can cut the electricity through the air with a knife or something like that. There is something to it, like, because you're watching great fighters fight. You don't get to fight GSP unless you're great too. That's my point. So he brings these moments to the game where you're like, whoa, like, damn, or Now yes, even when Hardy was fighting off arm bars and he was getting back up, you're like, now maybe he can knock him out. Or anybody else that's ever fought him and just kind of had some sort of a moment, it's a lot more those moments that last 8 seconds or 12 seconds or whatever that sequence is are pretty intense and pretty exciting, versus you can see other guys that are more exciting, but they're just not great fighters yet, and so therefore you don't get as excited.
I don't think it's all on him. I think a lot of fighters get taken down in round 1, get taken down in round 2, and just go into survival mode. Mm-hmm. You know what? I don't want to be a fool. I just want to go the 5 rounds, get the hell out of here because I'm not going to beat this guy.
Mm-hmm. Like if I told you, hey, Joe Schilling's fighting Melvin Manhoff, you get excited because someone's getting knocked the fuck out. But you don't get excited about the fact that, well, yeah, but who's in the title hunt or what's going to happen, or more than likely the winner might lose their next fight or whatever. No disrespect to those guys, but that's what their records say. So, but as far as GSP, I think a lot of people also tune in to see who can take them down at the time, So there is some compelling moments to his fights.
But shit, let him fight another grappler. Let him fight a Damian Maia.
He did. He fought Jake Shields. Jake Shields is a better grappler than John Fitch. He fought. He's a better wrestler. Shields is a better grappler overall. Nate Diaz is a great grappling game. He's just not a wrestler he didn't have the wrestling skills to stop the fight to going to the ground. Maya never made it to GSP because I think
Matt
Maya
Hughes.
hadn't really, So just guys couldn't stop his game, bro. It's like a boring college or pro football team that runs the ball, but you can't stop it.
Like Penn State and them ugly ass uniforms. That's what it reminds me of. Not running the damn ball.
Thanks for the call, my man. I got to move on, but that was a good analogy. Dean from Georgia's up next. VX is down. Danny, punch in Dean, please. What's up, Dean? How you doing?
Gentlemen, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Good. The caller prior to the thing saying that the Nick Diaz, I started thinking about that. But I don't think it will be Nick Diaz. I think if he gets a non-title fight, I think it's going to be the dark horse of it all that hasn't been mentioned, little brother Nate. If you look at Twitter, Nate has almost double the amount of Twitter followers than Nick Diaz. If you go by Nick Diaz's, when he wasn't with either GSP or Spider, his pay-per-views averaged about 340,000 pay-per-views. When he was with GSP or Spider, it was around 800,000 pay-per-views. He hasn't fought in over 2 years. He lost to GSP 4+ years ago for a non-title fight. Little brother Nate is way bigger of a star than Nick Diaz right now.
You know what, man? This is why I love our audience. They make you think. He's right.
They do, but
that's a bigger fight, George.
What's finally going to make Nick Diaz fight then? I think something's got to make him fight. I mean, he turned down Lawler. He turned down who else?
He's got to turn down money. He's got to run out of money.
I don't know, man. I think that just doesn't do much. I mean, I guess it sells, but God, I'm willing to meet him halfway. I'm willing to help him sell tickets, but do something that matters in a division, And
in a way,
GSP beating Nate, you don't rush to GSP and go, man, you fucking did it. You beat Nate. I mean, of course he did. You're an all-time great against the guy that's lost 10 times and mostly resides in the division below you, so you should have beaten Nate. Now, if Nate wins, I guess it's epic for Nate, but what did that do to his title run at 55 or anything else? It put money in his pocket, but so will beating Conor, who now holds the title. So go beat someone else so that you are next. Develop the skills. And here's another thing. If you beat Conor, don't let Khabib come in there and just destroy you either. Go out there and develop these wrestling skills that'll stop Ferguson and Khabib from taking you down so that when you become a champ, you don't just cash 1 or 2 checks. Cash 5, cash 7 big ones. Be the champ for a while. That's what these guys should be getting better. I feel like guys are just going like, that one payday. I just want that one payday.
Yeah.
No, you should want 7 of those big paydays. Develop the skills to hold on to the title and defend it a few times and just be that iconic figure. That's what made Liddell great and Hughes great and Ortiz. They got the belt and then they defended it. They got to walk around going, who wants some? Who wants some for like 4 years? Like, I'm the champ. I beat that guy. I beat that guy. I beat that guy. I didn't just like win a fight and then disappear and do the acting and do these other things. I'm a legend. You know what I mean?
I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but right away when Dean said it, I just picture GSP here, Nate here, and you're kind of facing Nick Diaz also because he's probably standing in the background going, fuck you, George, fuck you, and I'm going to get fucking into it. Take my money. Here you go. Take my money. I'm that guy. And a lot of people are going to be like that too. I would rather him fight Nate than I would Nick.
I'd rather GSP and Faraz just fight them in the streets than just on YouTube.
I'd buy that too.
Yeah. I feel like it's just a waste of time in the octagon. It's just a waste of them doing a camp for that fight. I think there's a way to pick off the entertainment side to make WME, IMG money, and also make sense of titles, title runs, and what's happening within a division.
But you're going to buy it.
I am.
They win.
Yeah. Good job, Dean.
All right, gentlemen, take care. Have a great day.
Later.
Don't be a hater, George. Bye.
Why am I a hater? I just fucking told them that if my Niners were to go in there into the Patriots Stadium, they'd get steamrolled.
Yeah.
What am I hating on?
You should be hating on him. He called you Judge.
Yeah. Hal and is it break time, Danny?
Yeah, we should probably take a break.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Hal from Chicago will lead off. And then an old name, Muna. In fact, I like Muna so much, and he's a fellow Niner fan, I may actually slip him in ahead of Hal. We'll be right back after this break. That was like a tongue twister. Ahead of Hal. I might slip him in ahead of Hal.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice.
They
get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back. We're just going to keep going here with the calls. The callers are delivering, so we cannot have any more delays. Now, I thought about it. I was going to say bring Muna up. Bring Muna up to the front. Let's let him in. But how he's been kind of like riding with me on some of these parlays and shit over the last few. I got to respect that hustle. So sorry, Muna. You got to back to second place. What's up, Hal? How you doing?
Great. GSP's coming back. That's excellent. Now, I understand people got a problem with the lay and pray, but staying on that theme, I think some of these newer callers may not realize how crazy you guys used to get back in the day in the tag. I wasn't listening to tag, but even when it was just Fight Now TV and that kind of stuff, you know, it can lose up to tie. Some of the new callers, I like them. I applaud them. But, you know, try not to just lay and pray. You guys can mix it up. Like yesterday, I was trying to bust Joe B's face balls. That obviously backfired on me. Sorry about that. I have an off-topic question, if I may suggest.
Oh, sure.
Now, party bus. You guys talking about the party bus for the gathering. Now, what would be the jam that would give you two a face boner? What would it take to get you up in that bus and start dancing? And then I want you guys to ask the callers as they come in the same question. Curious.
I think the most you're going to get out of me, Hal, is if I've had about 4 beers when I start buzzing. It doesn't take much to get me buzzing. 2 beers, 4 beers, I don't know, whatever. If I'm buzzing and there's just any jam on that's got a beat, and you guys just say, go George, I'll probably be dancing. So it doesn't take much, or it doesn't take a special song for me. Goes, however, oh, dear God, I'm not dancing to that.
Why not?
To that?
That shit would be funny.
No, I don't think so. Would you dance to that, Goes?
Yeah.
Really? That might come back to bite you in the ass. You better be careful.
All right, so how do I get out
You
of
haven't
it
laid
right
down
now?
on
Just
it.
say
You
no?
haven't laid down any criteria like oh, it takes a shot of whiskey or.
Well, I mean, I'm not dancing.
a double dare.
I'm imitating him, right?
His girlfriend. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well,
you fuck me, I fuck me. Like you got to do that, right? And do the whole.
A little bit. You got to pierce your nipples.
Nah, I'm not gonna do all
tuck
that.
Your dick in
a fucking party bus.
Well, I'm just saying.
It's a lot to do.
Hey, that's Mike Rojas' song. That's Mike Rojas' song right there.
As far as Joe's concerned, Joseph is very an independent thinker, so he doesn't get bothered too much by, oh man, why are you wearing that? Why'd you say that? Why'd you do this? He rolls to the beat of his own drum. So when you and Ford said, yeah, man, you got to lose this, you weren't going to convince him anytime soon. If that's what he loves to say, he's going to say it. Yeah, that's just free thinker like that.
But I still want to know your jam Goes, and then if you could ask the callers, I'd love to know. I know with Muna, get him going.
If New York City Cops came on, I'd be jamming.
By the Strokes?
Yep.
You started just moshing, like mosh pitting, or what? How do you dance to that?
I'd punch the person next to me and kiss the other person on the other side, whoever that is.
Nice.
Órale, Hal.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
for the call, my man. Let's go to Muna. Got 2 minutes. Muna, what's up?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? It's been a while.
Yeah, how you been?
Doing well. Hey, much respect to Hal. So no worries about that, George. Hal's a legend, so I don't mind being second fiddle.
So you didn't have a problem with that move?
No. I mean, if it was Mark or someone like that, then we'd have some issues. But Hal, I'm cool with that.
Well, that's funny, because that's what I thought!
Damn, you made people turn around. George made people... Muna, you're familiar with the sports book. George made people turn around all the way where the odds are.
Damn.
Proceed.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So anyways, now I'll just be real quick. I just want to get into something where I heard an interesting soundbite, and it really made me think, and more so with the media. And this goes back to Ronda Rousey. She may never come back to the fight game again, but especially how she lost, and especially losing to Holly Holm, where if you look at her fights in the UFC, none of them have been really good except for that head kick. And more so how we glorified, perpetuated Ronda as, the best ever, the GOAT, and looking back at it, my question to you guys is, as a media as a whole, do you think we perpetuated a fraud in Ronda where we called her the baddest woman on the planet, And for someone who lost decisively twice as she has, you know, and the reason why I bring this up too is because, you know, we had Joe Rogan come back and say, hey, you know what? I got to backtrack. I got to apologize. I actually thought that Ronda could beat her fellow bantamweights, could beat Floyd Mayweather. And I can take this off air, but do you feel as a media, you guys kind of, or as a whole, perpetuated that she was the baddest woman on the planet, where hindsight being 2020, she definitely isn't. And that's something where we probably should have given that to Cyborg.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much for the call. It's one of the best in the business, Muna right there. Now, we got to go to a commercial and the sports update, but Go's going to turn on the camera and we'll answer that question right now.
Camera's on.
All right. So I would answer this. Holm lost 3 in a row, but, dude, she was this close to beating Miesha Tate. That would have been a title defense there, and I don't know how she does against Amanda Nunes. We'd have to see it. So I thought the Shevchenko fight was not a good showing for Holm because I just think Shevchenko kind of outclassed her with a certain strategy. Okay. I thought the D. Randami fight was very winnable for Holm. Some scored it for Holm. So I wouldn't call her a fraud in any way. She legit kicked Ronda in the head because that's what she does. She did it at Legacy. She's got a great kickboxing background and boxing background. And then she was 10-0 going into the UFC when she beat, I guess it was after Pennington, she was 10-0. I forget. But
Marion Renault.
Yeah. So I don't think Holm was a fraud. I mean, like I say, she's just, it's a rough patch. With Miesha, it was giving up the takedown and then her neck. With Shevchenko, it was just not figuring out. I think that's an honest L. And then D. Randami was this close, it could have went the other way. As far as Rousey, I don't think anyone can say we built her up. She was beating girls in 13 seconds. 46 seconds, I think, was another one. And I think there was another one that was 20 seconds. I don't know. Good girls, too. Kat Zingano, man, is legit. She's only lost a couple fights. And then just when you were saying she's only got the arm bar, she punched, I think, Alexis with an uppercut and put her down. And then she beat Bitch with a hook. So there was strikes there, you know. Yeah. So that game was developing. So I don't think we were out of line at all.
Well, all right. Here's the way I look at it. Every is our guest calling us, or are we calling?
Yeah, he's calling. The Bellator always calls us.
Okay, so here's the way I look at it.
Just a second.
Holly Holm, every single one of her UFC fights was competitive. She was in it, whether she was winning or she was losing, but the fight was close. Okay, so no, I don't think she was a flash in the pan or anything like that. Ronda Rousey at the time probably was the baddest woman on the planet. I mean, maybe you could give it to Cyborg, but there were things that kind of went on with Cyborg as well, right? Look at the loss in Muay Thai, right? She suffered her. Ronda didn't really have any. She didn't have any hiccups. That was the problem at the time,
right?
But I think the level of competition got a lot better very quickly. So
and you have to continue to get better. And she was working on her striking, but she did an interview once where I raised an eyebrow. And she goes, "I haven't done judo in a long time," because she was so focused on boxing. And I think what she should have done was, okay, my boxing's improved, my judo's world class, but there's going to be a time where someone may be able to outstrike me, because they obviously have better hands. And what if I can't get the fight to the ground because I'm not able to hip toss them? Because Holly, I think, stopped a couple on technique, and just because she was a bigger girl, and when she planted her hips, Ronda wasn't able to get under her and throw her in any way. So what she should have done was, how else can I get fights down? Wrestling. I think she should have worked a little bit more on that. Man, but you know what? When everyone's giving you everything, right? Everyone's giving you everything and paying you all kinds of money and endorsements and this and that, and you're finishing people within a minute, you probably think you walk on water. You don't realize it till you lose. And then you go, holy shit. You know, I should have been doing this. I should have been doing that.
A lot of people point to outside factors catching up to her, the acting, all that stuff. I just think it's the division. The women got better.
Yeah.
They caught up to her. Isn't that right, Dan?
Oh, shit. I forgot to call that guy.
Yeah. You guys are coming back in 15, and Scott is there and ready to go.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, coming back. Stand by.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMAjunkie Radio Show. And now we're going to be joined by Scott Coker, the man over there at Bellator MMA. He's the president, and you can follow him on Twitter at Scott Coker. This weekend, Bellator presents Bellator 172, Fedor versus Mitrione. It's at the SAP Center in San Jose, California. That's your headliner bout. You also have Patricky Frady versus Josh Thompson. Czech Congo is back. He's got the Brit Oli Thompson ahead of him. And Josh Koscheck finally making his return back to the cage and his Bellator debut against Mauricio Alonso. Here we go. It's Scott Coker time. What's up, Scott? How you doing?
Great. What's going on, guys?
Oh, not much. Welcome back to MMAjunkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. Excited about Fedor's return. And, Mitrione's not going to lay down for him. He paid him a lot of respect on that ramp when he was presented with the fight. They took a picture. Fedor had the sweater. But, man, both of these guys can throw hands. I can't wait for this main event.
I tell you, it's honestly, I feel like it's a 50-50 fight. And I think both those guys are going to come out flowing. And I think it's whoever catches who first. I think that's how the fight's going to go down.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you are signing a fighter, how much are you concerned themselves a better mark? Pretty good. And then in his last fight, he didn't since then, or do you just sign Fedor because he's Fedor at this point?
I mean, it's, I don't think I would have that conversation with him. I think he deserves, the respect that he's getting. And, he's the guy that started it all. I do think he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. And you both know, and we all know that when Fedor was fighting in Pride had the best heavyweights in the world. And, he had a 10-year run there undefeated, as well as when he came to the Strikeforce tournament. Think about, he had a hard time there, but we had some tough guys. That was a tough tournament.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been fighting the tough guys for such a long time. And he could do it all. He could punch. He could, I read an article about what Mark Hunt was saying about him, how he got submitted by Fedor. This guy could do it all. And I think that, the last fight that he had, there's some, time frames where he's out of the pocket for such a long time that, it's hard to come back and fight at that high competitive level when you've been, taking some breaks. But, we're excited, man. I think this is the best I've seen him look as far as in shape. And he's looking really good. And people are excited. I mean, everybody's excited in this town, in the city. People see him walk around, and, he's getting noticed everywhere. He still has it. I mean, he's still the guy as far as I'm concerned.
That often would you like him to wear that sweater this week, the popular sweater? It seems like he's very identifiable by that, too.
Yeah, you know what? That sweater has a life of its own. I'm sure you saw the video. That video that our digital team produced was amazing. Yeah, and, props to them. But, he loves that sweater. So he thinks that it's going to bring him good luck. And, we'll see on Saturday night.
If you and Fedor went into business, meaning Bellator and Fedor went into business, and that sweater was sold in the concessions outside, I guarantee you there'd be a lot of sales. People talk about that sweater all the time, even before the presentation you guys released last week when I saw it. But now everybody wants a sweater like that.
Yeah, you know what? We talked about that, and that's something we'll talk about. But, I've heard there's rumors that after this fight, if Fedor told me, he said if he's victorious, he might sell the sweater and let it auction off for a charity.
Wow.
Dude, that would bring a lot of money. Yeah.
If they sold that sweater, you know who else would be a winner, George?
Who?
The concession stand. Because you can't have that sweater and not have ice cream in your hand as you're
That's
watching
true.
the fight, right?
That's true, yeah. Scott Coker, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. The co-main event features Josh Thompson versus Pitbull Frady. This one's Patricky. And, we always say it, man. I think Bellator's version of the Diaz brothers is the Pitbull brothers. I mean, these guys want to fight from the minute they get off the plane in Brazil to the time they check in with you guys, all leading up. They make it exciting. Yeah, it can be a little rough around the edges because you don't want someone to actually get hurt in the back. I think Georgie's camp once almost threw down with the Pitbull brothers, but I like that stuff. Josh Thompson once told me, man, I got a lot of stuff wrong with me upstairs. I used to get a lot of fights. So I'm hoping this kind of has a little bit of a street fight mentality inside the cage, and maybe he can coax that out of Josh.
Yeah, I think that this is a big fight for Josh, and when I see Pitbull fight, and being one of them, his brothers, they always bring it, like you said, they're like our Diaz brothers, and they kind of have that little fight to them. And Josh is around. He's not going to get rattled by anything. He's going to come out and he's going to try to bring his A game. And this is a big fight for both of them. So I think that you'll see the best of both these guys when they fight each other on Saturday.
All right, Goes. What do you have for Scott Coker?
Scott, we got Josh Koscheck fighting again, and the one thing that I noticed is the possibility of, we kind of thought that possibility of Daly and Koscheck went away, and it seemed like Daly wasn't too interested in it anymore. Josh, we didn't even know if he was going to come back, but should Josh get a victory here and Daly maybe get a victory in his next fight, could you ever see those pairings happening again, or is that just water under the bridge at this point?
Yeah, you know what? That's. I think it depends on, if how Josh looks and if he can stay healthy enough for us to feel comfortable to book a fight like that. Paul's still actively competitive at a very high level, or the highest level, in our 170-pound weight class, fighting Rory McDonald, as you guys know, in London on May 19th. So I think a lot depends on how Josh looks. I mean, to me, this is something that he wanted to do. We got the call, and I didn't know if, he was, really going to retire at some point and say, hey, I know we signed a contract, but, my body's banged up, and I'm just not going to be able to do it. But he's been rehabbing, and he's been training, and getting a lot of his MMA skills back, so to speak. And I've heard that he's ready to go. But depending on how he looks, that will determine whether we feel comfortable putting him in a fight with Daly or not.
Scott, the way I've been selling this fight for a lot of people, a lot of friends and families, I've been telling them Fedor Emelianenko is one of the greatest fighters of all time. And 25 years from now, when this sport is even bigger than it is now, you want to look to the guy on the right and the guy on the left and say, I saw that dude fight once. I get a kick out of it when my dad tells me some of the heroes he saw in pro football and basketball. I don't want people to miss out on that. But my question for you is, I know you've been around a long time in the kickboxing world, the MMA world. Has there ever been a fighter that you always wanted to catch live and you just kind of missed that opportunity on that fighter?
I mean, there's a couple, honestly, and surprisingly, it was in boxing, because when I was in my team, boxing was very big, and Sugar Ray Leonard was fighting Hagler, and Leonard fighting Hearns and Hagler Hearns, and all those great fights. Duran was really relevant back then, and I didn't really get a chance to watch those fights live, and I really would have loved to catch one of Mike Tyson's fights live, or Leonard Duran, Leonard Hagler. I think those are epic fights I watched on TV that I really would have loved. But I think the greatest fighter, boxer of all time that I would have loved to see fight is Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't have wanted to see him fight live? And that would have been like the ultimate dream.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Mitrione almost wasn't in this position to fight Fedor because Ali Thompson tested him. He rocked him. He made him do the chicken dance, they call it. So I like that appetizer there before the co-main event with Chet Congo versus Ali Thompson. Chick can grind you out. He can take you down, even though he's a striker, and make your life miserable. But when he decides to throw, he's got a really, really nice skill set. I hope he tries to throw a little bit with Ollie Thompson. I think there could be some nice fireworks there leading into the main event.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's a fight that we're hoping for some fireworks. And, like you said, Chick can grind you out. But, I'm hoping that these guys to me, it's like I think Ollie can handle himself on the ground and hope to scramble back up. But, if these guys, test their chins, I wouldn't be unhappy.
Yeah, I hear you. Scott, one of our listeners wanted us to ask you about ratings. So we know that it's like when ratings come out, 2 million, 2.5, we hear Bellator is happy. But does it basically have to do with what fighters are on what card, and then you shoot for a certain number? And if so, what's the number that you'd be happy with this weekend with a guy like Fedor Emelianenko and Matt Mitrione?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And we are in the ratings business. It's a little different like when I was with Showtime with Strikeforce. It was in the ratings business too, but you were also in the content cable subscriber business, which means that as long as, some of the people that had, buy Showtime every month, wanted to watch boxing and MMA, that was just part of the offering that was there. You get to watch movies, you get to watch this, sports, UFC has the pay-per-view business, and we are in the live event TV ratings business. So it's very, that's where the one of the top goals is to drive a big rating. And I think that if during the main event we could peak over 2 million, I think that would be a fantastic number again.
All right. Well, we'll be watching. We'll be tweeting live. We can't wait. It's going to be a good one. If you will allow us, just before we let you go, I know Bellator 172 is the focus, but can you just update us on? It's been probably a few days since the last time you've done media with us, maybe 72 hours. Is there an update on Bader, Lorenz Larkin, or any of the other guys that you all have been talking to?
Yeah, actually, it's there's nothing new to announce. I know that there's still some paperwork or there. We sent in an offer, and we're waiting for an official response. So that's where we're at on Bader. On Lorenz, we're still talking to Lorenz and his agent. We'll keep you posted on that. And those are two of the guys we're going after right now. I'm sure there'll be more to come. Sometime maybe sometime in April, May. We might have something else to announce.
Thanks for the time, Scott. Cannot wait for Bellator 172. February 18th, it's coming close, and it's going to be a great time with Fedor Emelianenko and Matt Mitrione. Spike TV, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, thank you for your time, as always.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Shout out to Danny for hooking that up. It's going to be a good one, Fedor and Mitrione. Neither guy is too interested in fooling anyone into this being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match or a wrestling matchup. Mitrione would love to knock out Fedor. Fedor would love to get a KO over Matt Mitrione. 36-4 versus 11-5. Saturday, Spike, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I wanted to keep him on a little bit longer, but I think 15 minutes was good. I don't know if you heard, but Bubba Jenkins was released. Or, sorry, released. So I wanted to ask him about that, but sometimes we have time constraints. And then the other thing I wanted to give him props on is I feel like they really have something with Gaston Bolanos.
Mm-hmm.
If he has the
in
ability
MMA
to
or
stop
in the
MMA, well, both actually. But if he has the ability to stop that takedown, I'm telling you, man, this guy can strike just as good as anyone else out there at 45 or 35.
Yeah, he works. I
think he
could
could be a
social
nice.
media. He works on the MMA game a lot.
I think he could be a gem. And in getting to know Gaston more over the last few years, the one thing he's not doing is slacking off. He's always getting better. He's always putting work. He's that first guy in, last guy out type. He's not going to get outworked or out-hustled by anybody. You may catch him, but it's never going to be anything that you just put in more time. All right. Where do we stand? Do you guys want to break now and reset, or you want to take some calls? I'll let you and Danny decide because I don't know what we're doing.
Why don't we take those calls real quick?
All right, let's take these two, and then we'll do our break. Also got a pre-recorded interview with Alan Jouban that we'll be playing here in the next 15 minutes or so. Steven from Connecticut, what's up, man? Steven from Connecticut is gone. Okay. And it looks like Danny's screening the next caller, or is the next caller ready to go?
I can tell you exactly who it is. I didn't get to type it in. Looks like Steven dropped all of a sudden. It's Brian in Boston is next, though.
What's up, Brian? How you doing?
Good, boys. How are you?
Good, man.
That's a good interview with Mr. Coker. Bellator, they kind of do that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing. And this card they're putting up this weekend is a legit card. None of the weird freak fights they're putting up. So I'm looking forward to watching them.
Yeah, I think the Thompson Pitbull fight will steal the show.
Yeah, and here's another thing. I think I'm starting to turn the page a little bit on, like, if I'm a consumer and I'm paying for the ticket, I think I have a little bit more of a right to bitch. But one thing we can figure out, goes, is for 10 years, we sit at home and watch all these fights regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody wants to call and say, hey, man, I live in Nashville, I wish they would, dress this thing up a little bit more, blah, 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 you're entitled to it. I'm not going to say you're not. But we're watching them anyways. So now I think I've just reached the point where let's see what they have to offer. Fedor's an all-time great. The only disappointment he can have is if there's just that fall, like they say, a fall off a cliff where, oh man, he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't think Mitrione will allow it. I think Mitrione will make it exciting. I'm just excited about the card because I've come to realize that this late in the game, you just can't help but get pumped up for fights.
You know what I think the difference with Fedor Emelianenko is? Up until this moment, now that he's signed with Bellator, I felt like he was a guy, like a mercenary, that would just take a fight here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would just get out of shape and just be a normal guy, retired guy, and then come back and fight. You can't do that as a fighter, right? I think now that he's signed with Bellator and he knows the possibility of fight after fight comes, now I think he becomes more of just a fighter in his everyday life, where now he's watching his weight. He's trying not to do these type of things that would not deliver the greatest Fedor Emelianenko. And I think that he may look a little different now. I think that'll be the key.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Another reason I called in, I want to harken back to Mr. Brunson, if it's not too far away from that. He is doing an exorbitant amount of complaining, social media, every interview, how he got jobbed, how he got robbed. I think that kid needs to realize that he was in the ring with one of the guys that are going to be on Mount Rushmore of MMA someday. And to quote Ric Flair, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And he didn't go in there and beat Anderson Silva. He didn't leave an indelible mark saying that I just crushed that guy.
Correct.
Did the judges get swayed because it was Anderson? Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, the amount of complaining he's doing over the amount of effort he put in his fight, it's not even. And I think a lot of us, and maybe the judges as well, remember that performance with Mr. Whitaker before. He was doing that Usain Bolt chasing the dude around. So I think he needs to check himself and realize what he did wrong to not get that decision and start talking about that. Teixeira comes out and says, man, I got to get better. I felt lethargic. I would have liked to see Brunson do that versus this endless complaining. He doesn't have the resume to pitch that show.
Yeah, he called it the dumbest statement made in MMA, which is don't leave it in the hands of the judges. And by the way, that was his boss that said it on Fox Sports 1 when he was being interviewed by Megan O'Leary. Because Dana, there's not much to add to it other than if you don't want to get screwed, one good way is to not leave it in the judges' hands. He says, well, the judges are there for a reason, and he's right. And I want to expand a little bit more on what Dana says. Because I think Dana's limited to 2-3 minutes, and then he's got to bounce. He's got to go do post-fight, whatever. But what we've said here on this show is we realize when a fighter comes in and sits down and goes, you know how hard it is to finish another guy at the top of the game, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course we do. We've followed this for 10 years. There's guys that are doing it at a 90% level, like Ben Rothwell when he wins. What is he, 33 out of 36 goes? So there are some that are proving that it is also being done at high levels. Carlos Condit, I think, is another one. We just interviewed someone that had another high. I think it was Alistair had 35 of 40 wins, or he had a high rating as well. The risk is you may get your clock cleaned for sure.
That's a gigantic risk.
Right. Yeah. So now let's let's go from there. If you go out there and you're aggressive, you are probably enhancing your chances of not getting screwed by the judges if you win, because A, you may have gotten the finish, or B, you've got so much output and volume that they're going to give you the 29-28 or the 30-27, blah, blah, blah. The flip side is I may get caught, I get KO'd, I lose my win bonus, I lose traction within the division, blah, blah, blah. The other side of it is you could still lose the fight, even if you are cautious. You could still lose. Yeah, you protected your chin. Yeah, maybe you didn't get KO'd, but guess what? Now you're complaining about all this, and you lose a lot of steam within your division. So both taste, not too good. That's for sure. I think you just have to reason, which guy am I going to be? Am I going to be the reckless guy, the gunslinger, or am I going to be more conservative and be the chess player? You got to decide that. Every fighter has to decide that. There's benefits to both, and there's there's cons to both. I personally, I think I'd rather be the gunslinger and just one day retire and maybe be 40-10. Mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know, or I don't know what I would be. But let's just say I was a good MMA fighter. I think I could accept 40-10. But I think I love the admiration of the fans and the media and living the moment and going for it, rather than sitting there going, fuck, I was 47-3, but, just I don't know. Yeah.
Just kind of be that high. Right, if you're not going to be the gunslinger, at least be the high output guy. Have a combination of, those two. Just to not to let the judge get awed by Mr. Ed. Anyways, guys, I took up a lot of time. Always fun talking
see you,
to you.
Brian. All right, later.
I've never liked hearing that. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. I think, for one, it just makes it sound like the system's broken. Like the system doesn't even work.
Right, because the judges
the
should
laws
be working.
Don't work.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't even like hearing that. But and
who's to say that the judges were wrong? It's subjective, true. Right? Like, I know one guy off the top of my head, Josh Gross, who you and I both respect, and a lot of people do. He called it for Anderson. I think John Rico, he's a fan who trains, so he backs up. He's a young kid who's not just sitting there eating popcorn and getting all fat. I mean, he trains. He has knowledge. I'm just picking his name. He thought Anderson won. There was a few others. I think Misha Tate on Fox Sports won. She thought Anderson won. And then there's plenty that say, well, we thought Brunson won. So who's to even say the judges were wrong? I think there may have been a wrong score of 30-27, Anderson, for sure. Yeah. But for the most time, I heard this on another show. Was it Luke's or somebody called in? I think it was Marco to Luke or something. Somebody called saying, most of the time they are getting it right. It's just that the times they aren't. It usually is accompanied by a fight where a lot of us are like, who'd you have? Oh, I had the other guy. So they're just as confused as us. And I think that falls on the fighter. So I think what I started to say was to piggyback what Dana says about don't leave it in the hands of the judges is, all right, if you are going to leave it in the hands of the judges, well, then fucking convince them. Give them info.
If I'm in Derek Brunson's corner, sometimes I've said this before. I know people hate it, but like it or not, I feel like when there's a title fight, when John McCarthy says let's get it on, it's 10-9 for the champ already in the judge's mind. Okay. Anderson Silva's not a champion, but he's Anderson Silva, and I would tell Derek Brunson, look, this fight's close. I just want you to know when that fight starts, it's already 10-9 that dude. You have to make an extra effort to take this fight from him. It shouldn't be that way, but it's like that, and he should know that.
What about when Anderson's doing this?
It sucks, though.
When he's doing this and bobbing and weaving and making the crowd go, do you think he's winning those 30 seconds?
So.
Like, whether he's the one pushing the action or the aggressor, which isn't supposedly looked at like it was looked before. But do you think inside the judge is going, oh, man, that guy's clowning him.
So.
Oh, man.
He's doing all that stuff.
That other guy needs to react. Like, I don't know what the judge is thinking. He's got to be human like us. He's got to be thinking other stuff. I don't think he's just a robot sitting, waiting for strike, waiting for takedown, must absorb info to make decisions. I mean, he's probably sitting there going, God damn. This guy's taking it to that guy, or I wonder if this guy's going to respond, or, hey, my man over here on the right, you better step it up because I'm going to give it to the guy on the left. I don't know what they're saying, but I think the fighter is feeding the judge's info in a way. And now the flip side to all this is there may be a judge that goes, hit him, don't dance, hit him. He may be looking at it from another point of view. So as much info as you can get him, I think the better your case to win the fight.
I feel for Derek because he was a gunslinger in the last fight, but he was a reckless gunslinger, right? And here, I guess he maybe trusted his skill set and just was a little bit more patient. It didn't work out. So, I mean, I can tell why he's mad. But I just feel like in a close fight like that, especially with a guy like Anderson Silva, you really have to put a stamp on something.
I would just say you can trust the judges, but you only if you've given them enough data to judge the fight. If you've been lackadaisical or reluctant, you didn't push the pace, or you let the other guy, I guess, dictate terms, then guess what, man? It's just a fucking roll of the dice. It's a flip of the coin. I don't know what it is, but all I know is I've watched plenty of fights, and I've stood there or sat there, and Bruce Buffer goes, all right, it's time for the decision. Or Anik says it. Let's go to Bruce Buffer. It's time for the decision. And he goes, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this, that, whatever. And I have a feeling toward I think they're going to say, but I have an acceptance for whatever he says is probably the call that should be made, and the ones that suffer are the fighters. We'll be right back after this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
All right, guys. Back in 10. Stand by.
I was wondering, if you keep on, because the phone has got a lot of power, and it makes me feel like it makes me feel like
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, folks. So listen, we don't do this too often, but we like Alan. Covered him through RFA and UFC, and there's not many opportunities to catch up with him before his fight because it's a short announcement fight. There's going to be some travel involved and other stuff. But regardless, we did it. Thank you to Danny for coming in early and making it happen and being able to turn it around. It was just a couple hours ago. Was it right? Yeah, about 2 hours ago we talked to Alan Jouban, and we're going to replay that for you right now. So here is Alan Jouban talking about his fight versus Gunnar Nelson that was announced, and he's pretty pumped up, and so are we. All right, joining us now on MMAjunkie Radio is Alan Jouban, who it was recently announced will be fighting Gunnar Nelson, UFC London. What's up, Alan? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm in my normal routine right now, man. Sitting in LA traffic, headed to the gym right now, but everything else is good.
Right on. So it'll take you 2 hours to go 5 miles. I know that LA traffic.
Pretty much, man. I'm used to it, though. I've been, when I go to Black House for my wrestling 3 days a week, it's been a routine now for 3 years, so it's kind of just the way I do it now.
We used to live in L.A., and I tell people that's why people in L.A. put so much into their car, because we're in our cars so often. So we need to have it all, navigation, great stereo system or whatever. You need to be comfy, that's for sure.
That's it, man. I got a lot of work done and interviews like this. Get it all done in the car, so.
Well, thanks for joining us again on MMAjunkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. I guess I should have said that from the beginning. But, Alan, thanks for doing this. You don't have much time before this fight, I guess about 6 weeks. But I don't know if you heard it. Yesterday there was a collective yes, like a big old gush, followed by cheers, because this fight card, it needed some pop. And you versus Gunnar Nelson is exactly what people were looking for.
I completely agree, man. I mean, I thought the same thing. I mean, I saw the card, and nothing really popped off of the page in my eyes. And I feel like this fight is it's co-main event, but even though it's not main event, I think it's one that the fans are kind of eagerly waiting to see. Gunnar, he's a big name. He's a draw. He's a high-level fighter. He's ranked number 9. People know him, especially in London. It's kind of a homecoming for him. He's fought there twice already. So he also brings that kind of like hometown crowd feel. And then a lot of the fans have really jumped on board with the momentum that I had, from last year going undefeated 3-0. And my performances have been seeming to get better and better, which I'm loving, man. I'm continuing.
Yep. And are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm
Alan,
here.
can you hear us? Okay, there he is. All right. Yeah, just for a moment there. But so the one thing that you had a great year, 2016, and then at the very end, you wanted that acknowledgement as far as, the rankings are concerned. And that's what Gunnar Nelson, I think, will bring to the table, because he has been ranked, he is ranked, and he's had other ranked fighter opponents. We've been tracking you since RFA. We cover all the promotions, so we saw your 3-1 run there and your 6-2 run in the UFC. Honestly, you're probably a ranked fighter, in almost every division except the very stacked welterweight. Welterweight, lightweight, and featherweight are almost impossible to penetrate early on. You just have to basically take someone's spot. I think that's what you're going to get in this fight. But it's not hopefully you don't think that it was ever a disrespect from fans or media. We know you can bang. We know you're one of the best out there. That's for sure.
No, I appreciate it, man. And I feel the same way. I mean, I know, the welterweight division is probably the most stacked division. Welterweight and lightweight. But I feel like lightweight used to kind of be one of those more stacked divisions. But over the years, a lot of the lightweight guys have either left the UFC, retired, or moved up to welterweight. So I kind of feel like welterweight now is definitely the most competitive division to be a part of. And I mean, you look at it, like you said, I went 3-0 in 5 out of my last 6, and I was ranked 29. And 29, I'm like, in the other divisions, you go 2 fights in a row and you're in the top 10. So it definitely is how it is. And It's just something that I wanted. The number next to my name, from a standpoint, it wasn't that big of a deal. The reason I made, I was kind of bitching about it is because I want to start my title run. I want to get in there. I want that momentum. I want the big names. I want, when you get a bigger name, when you get to ranked fights, then you get to do things like this. You get to co-headline and main event cards, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the recognition that comes with it. I was tired of just, fighting wherever on the card, fighting random people, and it not really getting me anywhere. The pay scale is a long pay scale to go up if you're just going up a couple grand every fight. But when you can make big leaps by getting into the rankings and negotiate your contract, that's when you stand and make more money. And I look at fighting, I'm a fighter at heart, but I also look at it from a business perspective. I'm here to make the most amount of money and be as successful as I can in the shortest amount of time. So that's why I'm always trying to get the best fight that I possibly can.
We're talking to Alan Jouban, who will be fighting Gunnar Nelson March 18th, UFC Fight Night 107, also known as UFC London. And he's got about, actually maybe closer to 5 weeks or even 4 weeks before that fight with travel and anything. So we just recently heard about this, and everybody's excited. And he's joining us now on MMA Junkie Radio. All right, Goes, what do you have for Alan?
Well, that's the thing, George, is we recently heard about it, but Alan, how long have you known about it, and has Gunnar Nelson always been the opponent?
He never was the opponent. It was actually a shock. It was a pleasant surprise, but I was surprised nonetheless when they threw it at me. But realistically, I've probably known since I think last Thursday night. They gave me a call real late, and they threw out his name, and I accepted right away. But then, like everything with the UFC, well, or maybe it's just with me because it's pretty annoying. They give you the name, you agree to it, and then they say don't say a word about it. And then it always leaks through. Somebody on the inside lets it go on social media, and people kept hitting me up. But they were telling me not to say anything, and finally I signed a contract, and I guess it leaked out, or they announced it yesterday that it was official. But yeah, I've known about 3 or 4 days now, and Gunnar wasn't the guy I had in mind. I was ranked 29 or so. I'm ranked in the 20s, so I was just trying to be, I guess, fair with the UFC and be like, look, I already belong in the rankings. I deserve to be there. I'm not in there, so just give me the top 15, top 14 guy. Just give me somebody who's on the cuff, on the edge of the rankings, and let me show you what I could do. So when they threw out Gunnar's name, man, it was a pleasant surprise. He's a good, well-rounded guy, but very beatable in my mind from my skill set, and he's ranked higher than any of the other guys that I was asking for. I was even asking for RDA at one point because I feel like he was a big draw being a former champion, but Gunnar Nelson is a bigger draw than the top 15 guys I was asking for, and a bigger draw than RDA. So I definitely got the fight more so than I wanted.
Alan, what's the first thing they bring up to you when they make that call? Where the venue is, or who the fighter is?
More so the fighter. The last couple of fights, I kind of looked at it in reverse. I was kind of saying, what I'm getting at is I was kind of saying, this is the date that I want to fight, and this is the venue, because I didn't want to travel last year. I was kind of saying, towards the end of the year, I wanted to, I knew there was some Vegas cards coming up, which I get to fight on. I knew there was a Sacramento card. I'm already a California resident. So it just made sense for me. I was like, you know what, I don't want to go international. Let me fight on here, because I knew I was still fighting random people, so it didn't really matter, I didn't want to go to freaking Ireland to fight some random guy. So as long as I was fighting random people, fighting sideways, I wanted to fight close to home because we save a lot more money. It's a lot less trouble. We don't have to go for quite as long. After that last win last year, I said, look, I'll wait. It doesn't matter where or when so much, more so about who the fighter is. So we just kept letting the UFC know, I want a top guy, I want a big name or a ranked fighter, or put me on that short list, man. Put me on that list that if somebody drops out of a main event or like a Cowboy Cerrone, Kevin Gastelum, New York 205, something like that happens, I'm going to step up. I'm going to stay in shape. So since my last fight, my win over Mike Perry, what was that, December 18th or something like that, I've just been staying in the gym, staying in shape. That way, if I got the phone call, I'll be ready to go.
Alan, last question here, and again, we appreciate your time. I think anybody that talks to Gunnar Nelson will say, tell us about what you've been working on your striking, because Alan obviously is a great striker, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure you're going to get asked a lot tell us about your ground game, like how much, I guess, this camp is tailor-made towards, are you going to try and survive with Gunnar or beat him at what he's best at, who do you work with? Who have you brought in? You know, like that type of line of questioning, I think, is what you're going to get, because that's kind of what I saw: forums, chat rooms, comments. So, like, who you work with? Kenny Johnson, right? He's your wrestling, and who works with you on your jiu-jitsu, and what kind of a game plan do you have in regards to Gunnar Nelson that you can share?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously everybody knows he's well-rounded, man. He's really good on the feet, but you look at his record, and 90% of his wins are from the ground, from submission, and probably 90% of those submissions are rear naked choke. So that's the first thing that jumps off the page. He's going to try to get you down, knock you down, or take you down, get on top, try to up some elbows, and then try to get you to turn over so he can take your back. So that's one of the key things I've been working quite a lot on lately. Is just rear naked choke defense. And you know, I've been a long time 10th Planet guy. I'm a brown belt underneath Eddie Bravo. I feel confident on the ground. But at the same time, I'm not gonna play his game. You know what I mean? If I go to the ground, I'm not gonna just try to play a chess match in jiu-jitsu where he always has the higher percentage of winning against most guys in our division, aside from like Damian Maia. So, you know, like always, you look at my record. Although I feel that I'm very well-rounded, 90% of my wins are from striking, 90% of my wins are from knockouts. So I'm going to put the cards in my favor. He's going to try to put the cards in his favor. If we go to the mat, I'm probably just going to say, get the hell up. You know, I'm going to try to get the hell up. If I'm not able to at the moment, maybe I'll play some jiu-jitsu with him. But I'm not trying to give him any high percentages. I'm trying to favor my percentages and put the fight where I want to put it. But it should be good, man. It should be good. I definitely have to keep my submission game tight, and I have been doing so. I work with Kenny on grappling. That way I don't even go to the ground. And we work a lot of jiu-jitsu over there. There's a lot of good guys at Black House. And then, like I said, I always have my 10th Planet family that I'm going to start visiting once or twice more a week to kind of tighten up the jiu-jitsu altogether.
We can't wait to see it. Thank you very much for the time. Safe travels wherever you're headed now, and I hope you have a healthy camp and safe travels to London. We'll be tuning in for that fight versus Gunnar Nelson.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Thank you, Alan.
Take care.
So thank you again to Danny for turning that around in the last couple hours. And you can follow Alan Jouban on Twitter at Alan Jouban. AlanJouban. Goes that fight card needed that fight
desperately,
and I think it's a good fight for Jouban for what he's trying to do, and that's fight for a title eventually. But to get there, you have to knock off guys ahead of you, guys that have spots you want.
Probably not the best scenario for him though, right? I mean, the fight's what, 6 weeks away, something like that, and you got to travel.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be rough, but it's
he
the
did
name
say
he
in the
needs.
interview that he's been keeping himself in shape, so hopefully it wasn't one of those where you just need to get 20 pounds off to even start the camp. We've heard other fighters say that. Hopefully he was able to transition quickly. And so in the Facebook comments, questions chat, we got asked about the game plan. And so he's obviously not going to divulge much, but I thought he said plenty. And that was the acknowledgement that Gunnar's legit on the ground. So more than likely I might just tell him to get up. He wants to go where the percentages are high. And I believe, although he respects Gunnar's striking game, he feels his is better. I think most people you would poll would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to. And he agrees with it. That's the thing.
All right, so let's do one more commercial. That was the Alan Jouban interview from earlier today. Thank you to, I guess, myself for lining that up, and Danny from Bellator for lining up the Scott Coker interview. And we'll come back. We'll do some more questions. Sneak in a call or two if you can make it in, 866-522-2846. And touch on the latest news, including Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, an update on what's going on with that.
what they say. Your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
That's it. I'm just gorgeous. Yeah. All right. Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. We didn't talk much about it yesterday, and I'm glad we didn't because I think he was just flying in yesterday. Or that was the info we had from the previous day. Sorry. So what he did was he asked the NSAC to allow him to appeal and reconsider the fine of $150,000, with $75,000 being a payment and $75,000 going towards a anti-bullying campaign, right? A commercial and
PSA.
Yeah. So he sat down with them and they agreed to. I don't know if rehear the case is the right way or to appeal, or I think what they're going to do is reconsider it. That tells me that they'll probably lower it because he probably came in there like a man and said, look, this is what I meant. You know, it's a lot of money, this, that, whatever. The people from NSAC have said there's no fight imminent just yet, but one thing they did say in a quote that they had left was, with so much money at stake, we could see how this fight could probably happen. And that was surprising to me because they'd be sanctioning an 0-0 boxer against a 49-0 boxer. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't mean that it'll be 12 rounds, what we're used to seeing. I bet you they could go either the exhibition route or if it's a professional fight. I just don't think you're going to get the 12-round fight. You know what I mean? There might be some concessions made on maybe weight, obviously, and who knows what. But I think everyone can stand to make some money. The last quote I heard from Dana was, it's not happening.
He said it's not even close to being happening.
Right. And then during Super Bowl week, he said he had a better chance of backing up Brady than for it to happen. I think that as long as he's happy with what he's making and the other two are happy, it's going to happen.
What happens to business if Conor McGregor goes in there and gets mopped up by Floyd Mayweather?
I don't think it matters.
What does that do to Conor McGregor as an MMA fighter?
Nothing.
People still tune in?
Yeah, because he can just say, man, that's boxing. That's one of the greatest ever.
All right.
What do you want from me?
What does it do to your company, to the UFC? You walk around, you claim the baddest people on the planet fight in this cage.
Oh, well, they'll say, well, Floyd's more than welcome to come in here. You saw what happened to James Toney, you know. But in boxing, Floyd's the man.
Okay.
So I don't think it hurts Conor one bit. I think Conor will lead up to the fight by saying he wanted rules to protect them, so we're going to do boxing, headgear, big gloves, no headgear. I don't know what we're going to do, but it's going to be boxing. But he remains firm in the fact that if it's MMA, I got him. And if he wants to go out on the streets, I got him. And I think even Floyd would probably admit to all that.
How many people watch that fight from the boxing side and say, I'm here to support boxing?
100% boxing people support Floyd and boxing.
Because here's the thing. Floyd's not very well liked in the boxing community, okay? I could see a lot of boxing fans that would want to see him get his ass kicked.
Yeah, you're right. So it would be 100%, but it'd be high 90s.
So I'm thinking the crowd is going to be very Irish.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot of people really. If you're buying tickets to a Floyd Mayweather fight, you're not buying it. You're usually buying it for the other guy, right? You're a Canelo fan, or you know.
Well, no. When we went to see him fight, there was a large.
But you're hoping he gets his ass kicked. Most people want to see him lose.
Most people we know goes.
I don't think.
But when we went there, I saw a large Floyd Mayweather.
I don't think it's not going to outrank the people that want to see him lose.
No, it won't be louder than, but I think numbers-wise, probably 50-50. It depends who rushes to buy the ticket. I mean, our friends over at the Las Vegas Fight Shop said boxing fans spend money.
I wonder if Floyd, because he's MGM all the way. T-Mobile's the new arena. It's a big arena.
He'll fight at Floyd. He was one of the guys that stuck the shovel in the dirt when they first started to build it. So I think he realizes that's more tickets, suites. That's where a mega event should take place. I think he'll concede on that one. Plus, it's part of MGM family. True. So I think he'll concede. Anywhere that more money can be drawn, they'll do it. And what sucks is I just wish they could say, oh, fuck, they did it. It's May. Like with Pacquiao. Remember when there was only 2 months to prepare for it? That way Habib and Ferguson just know that, okay, come November, I'm fighting for a world title. That's when Conor's back. Conor put himself in a position to have these scripts and commercials thrown his way and opportunities, I guess. I wouldn't turn down that much money. If somebody told me box Floyd for $100 million, I'd do it.
I wish there was a way where it would be a package deal, where you could order the UFC and then have like the main event be the boxing, where you're not just paying for that one dumb fight. You know what I mean?
So here's your 100.
But I
thanks
also
for that boxing match, but thanks for these 3 other great fights, maybe.
If something like that.
Right.
Kind of like WrestleMania 2, where they go, now we're gonna go to the Forum, or what was that?
That's interesting. I think the flip side would be, well, why would we do that when we know we can get 2 million views here from the boxing match, and then that great card you wanted us to put it on, we'll just get another million from that one, you know? So I don't know, but you know, Dana likes, unless this was in Cowboy Stadium, I think, you know, and Dana wanted to make it a mega event, then maybe, but I just think we're gonna have to live with Vegas, T-Mobile, boxing, and that's it. I don't think they're going to switch an octagon or a cage or nothing like that. It's just going to be, that's the event. Tomorrow we'll be joined by, let me see here. We got about less than a minute. Let me just read this last email. Make sure that I'm not talking out of my ass. Yeah, tomorrow we'll be joined by Boxing's Amir Khan.
Cool.
Yeah. He'll be on the show tomorrow.
It's one of my favorite boxers.
Working on a few others as well. Possibly Czech Congo. Don't want to jinx it, though. We'll leave it at that. And I do have a commitment goes from a name we've never had in studio in a few weeks. So we're going to have Ensign in the way back. We've had him in studio. That'll be fun. Bibiano Fernandez will be in studio.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, about 2 weeks. And then Michael Chandler will be back in studio as well. So there you have it, folks. That's it for Danny and Goes, and I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be champions.
You'll never be the same again.